Ladies and gentlemen, a moment comes in every city's story when the noise of doubt must fall silent before the force of conviction. And today, as NYC Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani reaches out to Democratic leaders, we stand at the edge of such a moment, where leadership is not inherited, but proven, not demanded, but earned through courage, clarity, and an unwavering belief in the people. Reaching out across political lines is often misunderstood in the modern political landscape, where polarization has become the default and cooperation is sometimes interpreted as surrender. But true leadership requires the ability to rise above tribal instincts, personal pride, and partisan identity, because the responsibility of guiding a city, a nation, or even a small community is far greater than any one ideology. When a leader extends a hand to those who hold different beliefs, it is not because they are uncertain. It is because they are confident enough in their purpose to seek understanding rather than applause. This act demonstrates maturity, strategic wisdom, and a deep awareness that progress is rarely built by one side alone. Collaboration is not about blending ideologies, but about finding pathways forward that protect the common good. Reaching out demands courage because it invites criticism from one's own supporters who may prefer confrontation over conversation. Yet it is precisely this courage that separates statesmen from mere politicians. It requires the humility to listen, the discipline to stay focused on long-term goals, and the strength to see opponents not as enemies, but as partners in the responsibility of governance. A leader who reaches out builds bridges that can withstand political storms and public pressures because those bridges are constructed from dialogue, mutual respect, and shared accountability. Cities like New York depend on this type of leadership, for no city thrives on division. It thrives when its leaders recognize the complexity of its people and choose cooperation over isolation. When a mayor-elect reaches out to leaders within his own party or across the aisle, he signals that he understands the magnitude of the challenges ahead and that he values the collective wisdom required to address them. It conveys stability to the public, reassurance to institutions, and a message of seriousness to those who may doubt his readiness. It shows he is not just ruling for those who voted for him, but serving the entire community with integrity and fairness. It sets a tone of unity from the very first step, inviting others to follow his example and raising the standard for political engagement. Strength is not measured by how firmly one stands alone, but by how effectively one can bring others together toward a shared vision. And reaching out across political lines is the clearest demonstration of that strength. True leadership is a quality that cannot be conferred by election results, prestigious titles, or public recognition. It emerges from the character and conduct of the individual who steps forward to lead. Courage is its first foundation, for a leader must be willing to take stands that are unpopular, face challenges that others avoid, and make decisions that carry real consequences. This courage is not reckless bravado, but a measured strength drawn from conviction and a deep sense of responsibility. Clarity is the second essential element, because a leader must have a defined vision, a clear understanding of the needs of the people, and the ability to articulate direction even when the path forward seems uncertain. Without clarity, leadership becomes noise, loud but directionless, impactful for moments but ineffective in shaping real change. And then there is service, the element that distinguishes genuine leadership from performance. A leader who serves understands that authority is not a privilege but a duty, that influence is not meant for personal elevation but for collective progress, and that the measure of leadership is the positive transformation experienced by the people under its guidance. The world has seen many individuals who obtain titles through political maneuvering, popularity, or organizational structure. Yet these titles do not automatically translate into the ability to lead. Leadership requires authenticity and consistency, acting not for applause but for impact, choosing integrity over convenience, and focusing on outcomes rather than optics. Loud rhetoric may stir emotions temporarily, but it does not solve problems, build trust, or inspire long-term stability. People follow a leader not because of how loudly they speak, but because of how steadfastly they stand, because their decisions demonstrate purpose, and because their actions align with their words. When a leader practices courage, clarity, and service simultaneously, they create a model of governance that is resilient in crisis, reliable in uncertainty, and respected even by critics. Such leadership withstands public pressure, transcends political cycles, and leaves a lasting imprint on institutions and communities. It transforms challenges into opportunities for growth and inspires people to rise above their limitations. In this sense, leadership is not something one claims. It is something one proves repeatedly through behavior, discipline, and commitment to the greater good. And it is this continual demonstration of courage, clarity, and service that earns a leader the trust and loyalty of the people they are sworn to guide. True leadership is earned through courage, clarity, and service, not through titles or loud rhetoric, because the essence of leadership lies in the actions that inspire trust and build legitimacy rather than in the authority that is handed down or the attention that noise attracts. A title can place someone at the front of the room, but it cannot make people follow them. It cannot create loyalty, respect, or confidence. Those qualities must be cultivated through consistent character and meaningful choices. Courage is essential because leadership often requires making difficult decisions that are unpopular in the moment but critical for long-term progress. It means facing criticism without retreating, confronting challenges without hesitation, and standing firm even when others doubt or resist. Clarity is equally vital, for a leader who cannot articulate a vision or define a direction cannot expect others to commit their energy and trust. People follow leaders who know where they are going and why it matters, who can communicate purpose in a way that unites rather than divides. Service binds these qualities together, because leadership is ultimately about lifting others, not elevating oneself. When a leader serves with humility, listens to the needs of the people, and acts for the greater good rather than personal advantage, their authority becomes grounded in moral credibility rather than formal power. Loud rhetoric may create temporary excitement, but it cannot sustain genuine transformation, for noise fades quickly while authentic leadership endures through its impact. A leader who lives these principles inspires cooperation, earns loyalty from diverse communities, and strengthens the institutions they guide. They do not rely on force to compel obedience or on speeches to mask weakness. Instead, they rely on integrity, responsibility, and discipline. Cities, nations, and organizations thrive when guided by those who value substance over spectacle, courage over comfort, purpose over popularity. Leadership is proven in the quiet moments as much as in public ones, in the decisions made without cameras, in the sacrifices that go unnoticed, in the commitment to keep going even when the path is steep. This is why leadership cannot be claimed. It must be demonstrated. And once demonstrated consistently, it becomes something no title can replace and no critic can diminish, because it is rooted in the character of the one who leads rather than the position they hold. New York City's progress depends on collaboration because a city of such immense diversity, complexity, and ambition cannot function through isolated decision-making or one-sided leadership. Every borough, every neighborhood, every community carries its own challenges, its own strengths, and its own needs, meaning that no single leader or single viewpoint can adequately address the full landscape of issues that arise. Collaboration brings together different experiences, different forms of expertise, and different perspectives that enrich the decision-making process and make solutions more effective and sustainable. When leaders work together across departments, communities, and political boundaries, they create a network of shared responsibility that strengthens the city's resilience in the face of crises. Collaboration also prevents stagnation, as diverse voices push ideas forward, challenge weaknesses, and introduce innovation that might not emerge from a closed circle of decision makers. New York's history is built on the contributions of people from all over the world, and its governance must reflect that same spirit of collective effort. When leaders choose cooperation over competition, they send a message that the city's well-being is more important than personal victories or partisan agendas. This fosters trust among citizens who often feel ignored or sidelined by political conflict. It also enhances accountability, because decisions made collaboratively undergo more scrutiny, discussion, and refinement. In a city where millions depend on public services, transportation systems, housing initiatives, and safety nets, collaboration ensures that policies are not shaped by narrow interests, but by a broader understanding of interconnected needs. It reinforces unity in moments of crisis, such as natural disasters, economic instability, or public health emergencies, where coordinated efforts are essential to protect lives and maintain order. Collaboration also strengthens the social fabric by encouraging communities to participate in shaping their future rather than feeling disconnected from the process. When a leader reaches out and brings others into the conversation, it creates momentum and shared ownership, making progress more durable and inclusive. Isolation, on the other hand, creates blind spots, fosters mistrust, and weakens the bond between leadership and the people. Collaboration is not a sign of weakness. It is a strategic necessity for a city as dynamic and demanding as New York, where progress is possible only when many hands, many minds, and many voices come together toward a common vision. A leader's true purpose is measured not by personal gain, popularity, or political victories, but by the tangible impact on the lives of the people they serve. And this focus must never waver, because the heartbeat of any city or nation is found in its citizens. Every decision, policy, and initiative should be rooted in the understanding that governance exists to improve the conditions of those who live, work, and dream within the community, particularly those whose voices are often overlooked or marginalized. Hardworking families who rise before dawn and labor late into the night represent the backbone of society, and their struggles and aspirations must remain at the forefront of leadership priorities. Equally important are the neighborhoods and communities that have historically been forgotten, neglected, or left behind in the corridors of power, because true leadership recognizes that the strength of a city is measured not by the wealth of its few, but by the well-being of all. When a leader centers their mission on the people, they act with empathy and insight, understanding that policies are not abstract but profoundly human, affecting education, housing, healthcare, safety, and opportunity. This people-centered approach requires constant engagement, listening tours, town halls, and personal interaction to ensure that decisions reflect the realities on the ground rather than the assumptions of political advisors or the ambitions of personal agendas. A leader who maintains this focus demonstrates accountability, ensuring that every action taken is scrutinized through the lens of its effect on the community. This dedication builds trust, because citizens can feel that their challenges are acknowledged and their needs are prioritized. transforming governance from a distant institution into a responsive partner in daily life. Moreover, centering the mission on people encourages inclusivity, giving marginalized voices a platform and allowing diverse perspectives to shape policies that impact the entire city. It also strengthens resilience, because communities that see themselves represented in leadership are more likely to collaborate, support initiatives, and collectively rise to overcome challenges. Leadership rooted in service reminds those in power that authority is not a reward or entitlement, but a responsibility to lift others, particularly those who labor silently, struggle quietly, and dream bravely, ensuring that decisions are grounded in fairness, justice, and a commitment to improve lives at every level. And when a leader makes the people the true priority, the city's future becomes stronger, more compassionate, and more unified, reflecting the promise of opportunity for all who call it home. Change is rarely comfortable, and anyone who seeks to transform a city, organization, or community should expect resistance, because human nature often clings to familiarity and comfort, even when the familiar perpetuates inefficiency, injustice, or stagnation. Resistance can come in many forms: criticism from opponents, skepticism from allies, fear from those who worry about uncertainty, or even passive inertia from a public unsure of the consequences of bold decisions. Yet, real leadership is defined not by the absence of opposition, but by the courage to persist despite it, recognizing that meaningful progress cannot occur without confronting entrenched habits and challenging the status quo. Leaders who stand firm understand that purpose is greater than personal pride, that the mission of serving others and advancing collective goals outweighs the desire for approval, comfort, or short-term popularity. Pride may tempt leaders to retreat, compromise excessively, or prioritize appearances over substance. But those who prioritize purpose remain guided by principles, long-term vision, and the responsibilities entrusted to them. This does not mean ignoring feedback or refusing to adjust strategy. Rather, it is about discerning which challenges are opportunities for constructive growth and which are distractions meant to derail the mission. By maintaining resolve in the face of criticism, leaders signal to their teams, communities, and even opponents that their commitment is steadfast, their direction intentional, and their focus unwavering. Resistance, when met with measured confidence and strategic persistence, can even become a catalyst for growth, sharpening a leader's clarity, reinforcing their credibility, and strengthening the support of those who understand the stakes. The ability to endure opposition while remaining purpose-driven demonstrates maturity, resilience, and an understanding that leadership is not about comfort, but about responsibility. Every transformative decision carries risk, and every bold step invites scrutiny. Yet the leader who chooses purpose over pride ensures that actions are aligned with values and long-term objectives rather than transient approval. In times of upheaval, when voices of dissent grow louder and pressures mount, true leaders are distinguished not by their ability to avoid conflict, but by their capacity to navigate it with integrity, courage, and a steady hand, showing that resistance is a natural consequence of progress, and that only by facing it directly, with unwavering dedication to the mission, can meaningful and lasting change be achieved. The future of any city, especially one as dynamic and complex as New York, is not shaped by wishful thinking, empty promises, or passive observation. It is forged by leaders who act decisively, with unwavering conviction and a clear sense of purpose. Conviction is the fuel that transforms vision into reality, the force that allows a leader to navigate uncertainty, opposition, and unforeseen challenges while remaining steadfast in pursuit of long-term goals. Leaders who act with conviction do not waver in the face of criticism or doubt. because their decisions are guided by principles, evidence, and a commitment to the common good, rather than transient popularity or personal gain. But conviction alone is not enough. It must be paired with unity, the ability to bring diverse stakeholders together toward a shared mission. A city as vast and varied as New York thrives when its leaders recognize the strength in collaboration, when differences are bridged, and when policies are crafted with the input and understanding of multiple communities, perspectives, and experiences. Unity does not mean uniformity, but it does mean fostering dialogue, building trust, and creating a sense of shared responsibility, where every citizen feels represented and empowered. Alongside conviction and unity, accountability is the cornerstone of effective leadership, ensuring that every decision is measured, transparent, and aligned with both ethical standards and public interest. A leader who embraces accountability gains credibility and inspires confidence, because citizens and colleagues alike can trust that commitments will be honored and actions will be consistent with stated values. Determination is the third pillar, the persistent energy that drives a leader to pursue objectives despite setbacks, delays, or obstacles, turning challenges into opportunities for growth and innovation. When conviction, unity, accountability, and determination are combined, the result is leadership that strengthens the city at every level, from infrastructure and education to social cohesion and economic opportunity. Such leaders understand that their role is not temporary or symbolic. It is a responsibility to safeguard the present and invest in the future, ensuring that the city can withstand crises, adapt to change, and flourish over time. The future, therefore, belongs not to those who wait for circumstances to align, but to those who act with courage, purpose, and relentless focus, shaping the destiny of the city through intentional, principled, and persistent action.